Alright, to start, I already want to just shout out AJ, Alexander, Radman, and King Recon for doing this. I've seen them doing their top 50 arcs or top 70 arcs the last few weeks, and then a few people jumped in as well to do it. So I was like, I love ranking stuff, so I gotta do it too. So I'll also rank my favorite animes. We'll update that. I did that at the end of last year. We'll be doing that this year as well at the end of December. Without further ado, let's just get into the top 50. So to start, we will have a section of reread needed. Those are going to be a few arcs that I didn't want to rank in here because I just didn't feel confident enough. I really need a reread. And then we'll have the honorable mentions, so basically the ones that are under the top 50 that I really enjoyed and stuff. Strap in, this will be a long yap video about my favorite arcs in anything anime, manga. I'll be glazing everything JoJo's. I do want to say there's not going to be Naruto or One Piece, two big series, just because I haven't read them or watched them. So if you're new to the channel, I haven't watched them, so don't expect those. There's gonna be Hunter x Hunter, JoJo's, a bunch of stuff. So get your snacks, your stuff to drink, or just put that in the background while you do something else. Let's go. So there it is, the reread needed. We have first Yoshioka arc in Vagabond, Yagyu arc in Vagabond, Royal Government in Attack on Titan, Shinjuku Showdown of Jujutsu Kaisen, and Cold Games of Jujutsu Kaisen. So yeah, basically self-explanatory. Those earlier arcs in Vagabond, I don't feel too confident. I do want to reread. Royal Government as well, but it's especially the manga. I know the anime left out a lot of things from the manga, so I want to go reread that section, and that's basically the first 12 episodes of season 3. If you're not sure what this arc is, it's the first 12 episodes. So I want to go reread that in the manga. Then we have Shinjuku Showdown of Jujutsu Kaisen, Calling Games. Calling Games I'm not gonna reread, I will just watch the anime, which is coming out in January, so that'll be kind of my reread. And then yeah, Shinjuku Showdown I need to like reread or rewatch once the anime gets there. So those won't be included because of that. Alright, now we get into the actual stuff with the honorable mentions. Alright, there it is, honorable mentions. We have a few in there. A lot of JoJo's, a lot of My Hero Academia. So we have Vanilla Ice, JoJo's Part 3. Really great arc. One of the best side villains in JoJo's to me. And one of my favorite fights in the part. The stakes in that part is just incredible. There's just some of my favorite moments of Part 3 is in that arc. It's pretty short. But a really really enjoyable arc of JoJo's, one that stands out. Then we have a few of JoJo's Part 7. We have Sugar Mountain. Like, this is one of Araki's best arc in terms of just vibe. The vibes of that arc is just incredible. The snowy, like the snow ambience and aesthetic of the entire thing. Sugar Mountain, her character, right, and everything that surrounds her with the tree, again, just really, it reminds me a lot of things. It reminds me of a lot of things that I've read or watched in the past, like, and then just Johnny and Jarro's dynamic there and what happens there. It has one of my favorite chapters in the entire series. It got me emotional, so yeah, Sugar Mountain almost made it to the top 50, to be honest. Um, First stage race, amazing start to a JoJo part, maybe the best start of a part. Again, introductions to a lot of great characters, and the race is just pure hype, you know. Civil War, again, really cool fight. There's a certain character that appears in there, insane. So yeah, just great. Entertainment District and Demon Slayer, that was actually the first arc where I read the manga and saw the anime adaptation of the manga. That was the first time I had that experience of reading a manga and seeing the manga adapted. And obviously, if you've watched Demon Slayer season 2, I mean, the animation, everything is, it's insane. It has one of the most hyped up episodes. Still one of the craziest fights, right? So that speaks to itself. Demon Slayer has a special place in my heart, so that also helps. Final arc, that note, there's a few things I don't like, or there's somewhere like it's not perfect. Um, but I'm a big fan of the ending. The last two episodes are absolutely amazing, and I still think there's some great stuff in there. Silent Way, great fight. Mogami, we get Mob Psycho here. This is episode 4 and 5 of season 2. Um, yeah, great stuff. The animation, it still has one of the craziest animation or craziest episode in terms of animation I've seen still to this point. Separate Ways literally just follows the Mogami arc. It's with Reagan. It's focused on Reagan and Mob's relationship, but especially Reagan, who is my second favorite character in the entire show. Reagan is absolutely awesome. And this is just peak Mob Psycho. Monster just finished Monster like a month ago. Roots of the Monsters around episode 51 to 67, 66, where we get a lot more backstory on Johan and the roots of the monster. It speaks to itself. It's just an awesome arc. Idol Trade in My Hero Academia. Again, really cool arc. Where we basically get one of the big climax of the series with All Might and All for One. If you know, you know. Hero Killer, Stain, one of the best characters in the series, one of the best side villain. That was a really great arc. And then My Villain Academia, which is way better in the manga than the anime. Yeah, it's awesome to just be focused. Again, it speaks to itself, right? Like, it focuses on the villains, and I love it. I love when the show decides to focus on villains like this, and there's a lot of interesting stuff. So yeah, that is the honorable mentions. A lot of good stuff here. Now let's actually get to the real stuff here. Top 50. Coming at the top 50, we have Evans Arena, Hunter x Hunter. Yeah, again, Hunter x Hunter is my favorite series. It's my favorite piece of media and anything overall as a series. Just counting everything, right? The manga, the anime, the 1999, all the versions of it combined. It's my favorite thing. So. Evans Arena, if we're not counting the Zoldyck arc, it is my least favorite arc in Hunter x Hunter. I still think it's a solid arc. It does what it needs to do. Amazing stuff for Gon and Hisoka especially, and then the introduction of Nen. It's a really important arc for Hunter x Hunter. It does what it needs to. It has one of the best fights in the series as well. And Hisoka just cooks. Again, Hisoka is awesome in that arc. So, yeah, fun arc. Nothing too crazy. Coming at the top 49, we have True Man's World, or A True Man's World of JoJo's Part 7, Steel Ball Run. This is, I think, where I truly understood the peakness of Steel Ball Run. That was by far the arc that really stood out to me once when I read it. JoJo or Steel Ball Run before that was really good. I was really enjoying it, and there were some peaks before it, but that was where I truly understood, like, okay, Part 7 is special. It will be special. It has one of my favorite side antagonists in the series. And this is where Johnny and Gyro really came into their own for me as a whole, where everything just became very special. Part 7 truly became special with A True Man's World, and I cannot wait to see it animated. Coming out at top 48, we have Bacon, it's Bacon, right? It's kind of tough to say Bacon, in Vagabond. Once again, I haven't talked too much about Vagabond on the channel, but it is one of my favorite series. It really stuck with me. It was so impactful, so up my alley. And this arc, I almost put it in really needed, but I think I have a better grasp of this arc. I remember it all bit better. Yeah, it has one of my favorite fights in the stories. It just does what Vagabond does super well. Some great Marachi stuff, and it's where Takezo really, or Musashi really came into his own as well. Um, yeah, Baiken, amazing character as well with the girl, and just an awesome arc overall. Next, we have at 47 overall. I know it's not quite the official name of the arc, but just to make it simple so people know what I'm talking about here, I'll just call it the overall arc. In My Hero Academia, again, there's not going to be much My Hero entries in the top 50. My Hero for me has been rocky. Like, I've really enjoyed a lot of characters and moments. Season 8 right now is cooking, it's really good, but yeah, I don't know, my feelings for My Hero are just all over the place. I feel like at some points I loved My Hero, and then over the years it just kind of fell off a little bit. I didn't like, not the series fell off in general, just my love for it fell off. Like, I don't know. um, but I still really enjoy it. And the overall arc is one of my favorites as a whole. I think overall is a really cool and interesting villain. Eri in that arc is a really great addition. Deku cooks so hard, and there's the introduction to one of my favorite characters in the story as well, in Mirio. So yeah, a lot of great stuff in that arc, and the anime really cooked. The music, the climax of that arc, the animation, it's still in my that whole section. So yeah, a lot of great stuff. The anime definitely struggled in some parts in terms of production side of things, but even the manga spectacular. Next at 46 we have the Ozoin arc in Vagabond. Um, that was the first big arc for me in Vagabond. Vagabond before that was really enjoyable. The art was awesome. I really liked Inoue's writing. But this arc is once again kind of like a Truman's World. This arc was really where I was like, okay, this series is special. Um, yeah, the Ozwin arc, awesome. Inshun is an awesome character. Is dynamic with Musashi. Musashi truly overcoming one of his biggest weaknesses. The rematch in that is freaking awesome. The backstory of Inshun, all of that, it's amazing. It truly moved me. It was the first time that uh, Vagabond truly moved me for the first time, and there's gonna be plenty more of that in that list. Spoiler alert. Coming at 45 is the start of the big series. In the top 50, we have the female Titan in Attack on Titan. Female Titan, it's a great arc. It's probably one of my least favorite, though, again, in this, in Attack on Titan. There's a few like smaller arcs in season one. Like season one is by far my least favorite part of Attack on Titan. I think it's still very Attack on Titan, very solid. It sets up a lot of foundations for the plot, and there's a lot of great episodes in there. Um, but the female Titan is definitely the one that sticks out. You know, it's basically the last portion of season one. Yeah, the introduction of the female Titan, some of the, I mean, no spoilers, but some of the characters that, I'm not gonna say who, that arc, and uh, just the fights and the plot twists. It's just a great arc of Attack on Titan. Coming at top 44 and being the only entries of this series in the list here, some might be surprised, but we have the U20 match of Blue Lock. Again, this is the only arc I have of Blue Lock in here, and in general, I'm not a big Blue Lock fan of the series. It just doesn't really click for me. In general, um, I've read up until chapter 180 or 200. I don't remember, around there. But the U20 match is always the one that stuck out to me, and I've really enjoyed the U20 match. I think, I mean, he introduced one of my favorite characters in the story, with Oliver Aiku. I feel like he was one of the most grounded character in the stories, one of the most relatable, and he really carried the U20 team, if we're being honest. He definitely stole the show for me. But also the U20 match was just the climax of everything before, right? Like all the characters coming into their own back to back, and just the scale of it just felt so freaking hype and epic. And even though the anime had their production issues, it had its moments, especially the finale of the season. Really put a stamp on like my love for that arc. I really enjoyed the U20 match. It's just pure hype. Um, so yeah, the only entry for Blue Lock. Really enjoyed that arc. Coming at 43, we have High Voltage to Star and Stripes in JoJo's Part 7. Um, so JoJo's is a little bit weird, and it's a little bit of a at a disadvantage because the arcs in JoJo's are pretty short. Most of the time, they're 2 or 3 chapters or a few 2, 3 episodes. Um, but the way I'm gonna do it is just the way I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna glue some of them together because they kind of feel like one arc to me. And this is basically the end of JoJo's Part 7, so from chapter, I think, 90 to 95. So the finale of JoJo's Part 7. I didn't know what to do with this arc, but I think 43 is good. Um, I would say the last I would say chapter 95 is one of my favorite chapters in JoJo's, but one chapter isn't quite enough to make it higher for me, since here we're looking at just straight like arcs, big arcs as a whole here. So I would say, the chapter 90 to 93 is just some really good hype JoJo stuff. Crazy stuff happens in there. Absolutely insane. Had me jumping from my chair. Um, and it's just pure JoJo. It's really entertaining. But the last chapter is where it really elevates the arc to me, where I'm like, okay, this was a great JoJo arc. At 42, we have Dio's World, JoJo's Part 3, so basically the finale of Part 3. Once again, I mean, not much to be said here. If you've watched it, you know why. It's Dio greatness. Just again, pure insanity, JoJo's insanity. One of the most iconic fight in there. Um, Character dying left and right. Just absolutely absurd stuff. Jotaro cooks so much in that, and this is where I think Dio truly solidified himself as one of anime's most iconic villains. So, coming at 41, we have the Hunter exam in Hunter x Hunter. Yeah, the Hunter exam is my second favorite arc, or I guess not favorite, my second to least favorite arc. I would say the Hunter exam, if it was just for the anime, it probably would be a little bit lower. I actually think I prefer overall the Hunter exam in the manga. Um, but I think Hunter exam is just so good to establish what the world of Hunter x Hunter is. Togashi's writing, a lot of important characters are introduced: Gon, Killua, Hisoka, Kurapika, Leorio, all of their dynamics, the detours, and all of that. It just sets up everything I love about Hunter x Hunter. It has a lot of awesome moments. It doesn't reach the eyes of maybe some of the things that I have under it, but as a whole, as an arc for me, the Hunter exam is a little bit more special. I just love the Hunter exam a little bit more than the others under it. Top 40, we have a first entry of another series in the top 50, and it is Jujutsu Kaisen, Eden Inventory. I didn't think I was gonna have the Eden Inventory that high, but the anime did such a great job. I mean, again, if it wasn't for the anime, this arc would not be this high. This is basically the first 5 episodes of season 2. I mean, this arc is just from start to finish just so cool. It's so good. Once again, the vibe of it is just captured so well. Just the summer vibe. The last 3 episodes of that arc, again, it's a very short arc, but the last 3 episodes of that arc are just so good. Every single one of them. I every time I think about it, I don't know which one's my favorite. Again, it's the case of one of those really short arcs um, that just has such an impact in such a short amount of time. It's so efficient. Um, and this is one of my favorite arcs, and maybe my favorite arc. We'll see, but in Jujutsu Kaisen, I think it's by far the most perfect arc in JJK because JJK is definitely flawed, but I think this is one of the arcs where it's actually the less flawed of the entire series. So top 39, we have Tokyo Expedition and IQ. This is these also this is the start of the IQ mentioned in this. So we have Tokyo Expedition, which is the first 12 something episode, 13 episodes, or maybe a little bit less than that of season 2. This is one of my favorite training arcs. Again, IQ is one of my favorite. It's in my top 3 animes, manga of all time. IQ is made for me. It's everything I love in stories, and this is one of its best training arcs. I mean, IQ is just good for most of the time. I would say once again, kind of like Attack on Titan, season 1 is my least favorite. It's definitely a little bit slower. It kind of sets up the themes and how the story goes. But this is really the start where IQ really started to get good. I think there's so many good dynamics. Seeing all of the characters from different teams working together and building a bond is just beautiful to see. And it's one of those arcs that when you look back on it after you've read everything, it's just so much more impactful. Seeing everything that was set up in that arc. Just a beautiful arc that I could just rewatch as well. It just makes you feel good. So top 38, Fullbring, the Fullbring arc and Bleach. This one also kind of surprised me that I had this one that high, but when I was looking at it, I was like, yep, this is where it goes. I will say the Fullbring to me really comes into his own by the end. If it wasn't for the big climax, there it would be much lower. But Kubo managed to just wrap everything in a tight little bow at the end that I'm like, wow, it's actually better than what I thought when I was reading it. While I was reading the start. So yeah, I would say for the Fullbring arc, the last stretch of that arc is where it really flourishes and becomes that good. That I to me. For Ichigo, it's such one of the most important, impactful arcs for Ichigo as a character, and Ichigo is one of my favorite main character as well. Um, yeah, there's a lot of great moments in there. But yeah, this is definitely one of those where I could see Fullbring being lower. I could put like it could go down under the female titan. It could go like some of those could be changed if I think about it more and more. Right, if I talk about it, I could change my mind there. But also, I think I just realized that I might have put 51 entries in era, might have just messed something up. So we'll maybe have 51 arcs there, so it is what it is. Top 37, we have Bites the Dust in JoJo's Part 4. Another climax, the climax of Part 4, just one of the best climax in JoJo's. Kira just cooks. Kira cooks in this arc. That's all you gotta know, man. Absolutely amazing arc where it plays with time, and I love that stuff, and I think Araki really did it well. Next, we have a top 36 Monster Association in One Punch Man. This is also the only arc of One Punch Man in the list. Yeah, this arc is kind of like the U20 match of Blue Lock. This is one of those where it's just pure hype and action and fun. Like this is one of the only arcs in this list where it's not the most well written arc. It doesn't have some of the highest peaks or character writing peaks and than some of the other arcs in here. But it's like 100, not 100. It's like 60, 70, I think it's like 70 chapters of just pure action, non-stop hype. And obviously the art of Murata helps a lot. The presentation and the art is absolutely insane. I mean, you just read it, you don't want to stop, you just want to keep reading. It's pure shonen action fight. And it has one of my favorite villains in there, in or antagonist, in Garo. Garo is an amazing, by far the best characters in One Punch Man to me. Um, and this is his arc, basically. The fight that happens at the end, you know, we have Saitama who cooks, Garo cooks, and just the scale of the fight. I know the comic is a little bit better, the web comic. I haven't read that myself, but yeah, this is mostly just manga, just pure hype, fun. That's it. It is unfortunate that the anime is just butchering the start of the arc, right? With what's happening with season 3, it's an absolute mess. So yeah, hopefully season 4 gets a better adaptation onwards because it deserves it. 35, we have World Domination of Mob Psycho. Those are like the last 5 episodes, 5 episodes of season 2. Season 2 is just a banger, man. It's just like so consistent, but once again, this is definitely where Mob Psycho really hits that shonen. It just becomes full shonen there. The animation goes absolutely insane. Mob just cooks so much. All the characters comes into their own there. So coming at top 34, we have the final war of My Hero Academia. So this is basically most of season 7 up until the very end with season 8. This is my favorite arc of My Hero Academia. It's an awesome arc. Again, some of the stuff in there doesn't really hit for me. I'm just not as invested. I guess I don't really know, but there's also some of my favorite stuff of the series in there, and the anime really helped. Of this season, for example, with episode 3 with Bakugo, that episode was so good. That was insane. And then the recent episode with episode 8 with Deku as well. You Can Do It. That was one of my favorite moments in the manga as well, and the anime cooked as well with that. So, and season 7 is also probably the best season overall of My Hero. So, it's a great final war. It's very shonen and it does a lot of great things with some of those shonen tropes. It executes them very well. Going at top 43, we have Munich of Monster. This is one of my favorite arcs as well in Monster. This is from episode 26, 27 to episode 39. It has one of the best stuff in Monster. It's a focus on Johan, and it's a much needed focus on Johan. It has some bone chilling moments. Some of the best characters as well are introduced in that arc, I think. And really, that's mostly it. This is just pure Johan cinema. Coming at 32, we have Grid Island, Hunter x Hunter. This is either people's least favorite arc in Hunter x Hunter, some people's favorite arc. It's a little bit all over the place. For me, it's kind of in the middle, actually. This is... It's an interesting arc because this, you can see that this is just Togashi having fun. I mean, Togashi is a big gamer himself. He loves games, and was a way for him to create a game within his story, and you can feel the love and passion towards that. It definitely has a few episodes in there, 2 or 3 episodes that were maybe not as interesting, a little bit more boring, in the anime, but other than that, to me, it's super solid. It's super important for Gun and Kill was dynamic. It's one of the best arc in terms of Gun and Kill was dynamic. There's a lot of great stuff for Jing, subtext for Jing as a character in there. The dodgeball match, so good. And I really enjoyed the climax of that arc with the last fight. He has one of the most underrated, one of the best fights in the story. And it's just pure fun and awesome vibes, man. 31, we have Children arc in Berserk. This is also, I believe, the first entry of Berserk in the list. Um, Short and sweet arc, not too long, but this is after the eclipse. Very, very big, important arc for Guts. This is Guts' lowest, but this is also great for the themes of the arc, um, about this brutal world that Berserk is. But how there is still hope in it, despite how dark it is. This is one of the arcs where the display of that is the best. One of the best, most one of the most well done in in the series. The Rosin fight as one of the most iconic panels in Berserk as well, so that's a plus. Alright, since I put 51 entries instead of 50, we'll just do a 30.5. That's what we're gonna do here. So at 30.5, we have the Conviction arc in Berserk. This is following the Lost Children arc. Um, this is kind of a part 2 Eclipse moment. Some of the imagery in that arc is absolutely insane. Um, and I would say this is one of those arcs that maybe some people would have it higher, I'm not sure, but for me, the big reason why it's that high is not necessarily for specific characters per se. I think Farnese is a standout character in that arc, but it's more so about the themes of the story. I think they're so poignant in that arc, and the way Miura displays it through his art, and just the large scale of the event that happens and the birth of a certain someone. Entering top 30, we have L versus Light in Death Note. Pretty iconic arc. I mean, this is one of the big reason why people love Death Note so much. It's this arc. L, one of the best characters and one of the most iconic characters in anime manga from what I've seen. Yeah, this is where Death Note shines. It's from episode 1 to, in the 20s or something. Yeah, by far the best arc in the series. Not much to say. I think you guys know why we love Death Note. It's because of this arc. Coming at top 29, we have Made in Heaven, JoJo's Part 6. This is the climax, the finale of Part 6. I'm just gonna include from episode 31 to the end. One of the craziest, most insane ending to a story arc, whatever you wanna say. Yeah, one of the most insane still to this day. I'm still in awe of what Araki did with that and what that leads to, what that means for the future of the story. It's absolutely insane. Again, I haven't seen that done in anything. This is where basically one of my favorite character in the story shines. Jolene is an awesome character in that section. Jotaro, Emporio cooks so well, and again, just the scale of what Pucci is trying to attempt and trying to what he tries to do, and does, and how that affects the world and everything we know of the story. It's just so epic and grand, and it's insane. I don't have much more words than that. Coming at 28, we have the chairman election arc in Hunter x Hunter. This is definitely one of my favorite arcs in the series. It has so much packed. It's pretty short. It's 12 episodes. Even in the manga, I think it's like 20 chapters or less. Um, but I think it's so efficient. It has some of the peaks, a lot of the peaks of the story. Killua, basically the conclusion to Killwa's character arc. His moment with Aluka there, episode 146. The stretch from episode 145 to 148 is incredible. Every single episode for me is some of the best episodes in the anime. Um, the last episode, especially Gon and Jing, atop of the world tree, is one of my favorite scene in anything. One of the most impactful. The detours is something that I think about all the time now. Even when I watch other things, it's just something that I really value. Um, Pariston as a character as well is such a great antagonist. It's so Togashi. Is dynamic with Jing, and just seeing more of Jing in general as well in that arc. It's just so fun, and seeing more of Illumi and Isoka teaming up, and just Illumi as a character being more developed. There's just so much great character stuff packed in there, and a lot of things that conclude the story that we know. I mean, 148 or 339 in the manga is basically a perfect ending. If Hunter x Hunter was to end there, it would be a decent ending point. So it has one of my favorite endings to a story, even though it's not done. 27, we have this. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce the name of this arc, but it's of Mob Psycho. This is the last 4 episodes, I think, of season 3. Kind of like Chairman Election arc, pretty short. It's the ending of the series. I think once again it's one of my favorite endings of a series in general. I think it's so well done. It concludes everything in a way. It's satisfying. It's just pure greatness for 4 episodes straight, and the animation is insane. Some of my favorite Mob and Reagan moment are in there. Um, yeah, it's just the climax of the story, and I think it does it perfectly. It's so satisfying. Next is Clash of Titans and Attack on Titan. This is basically all of season 2. Um, yeah, this is once again where Attack on Titan really found its footing, where it really became special to me as well. It has one of the craziest plot twists. If you know, you know. Episode 6. Um, Episode 1, the introduction, the Beast Titan, one of the most haunting introduction to a villain character. And until the very end, the last few episodes of this season as well are so good. So, like, some of those episodes in there are so important to the entire series. It's one of those episodes that you look back when you're done as well, and you're like, wow, that was so special and important. But it's definitely one of the most efficient seasons as well. So yeah, great arc. Alright, top 25. We are getting into the actual big guns here. We're getting into the real stuff. So, top 25, we have the Soul Society in Bleach. This is some people's favorite arc in Bleach, and I get it. It's a great, absolutely great arc. Once again, probably the best efficient arc, tightly packed. There's no, it doesn't wander. There's not as much wandering as other arcs. It doesn't drag on as much as other arcs. It's just non-stop shonen, non-stop action, great fights back to back. The introduction to Bankai as well. I mean, without going into spoilers, I can't say much, but it's just non-stop action, and I get why people have this as their favorite in Bleach. Next is a surprising one. I didn't think I was gonna have this one as high as well, but it is as high as this. So next is Shibuya and Jujutsu Kaisen. I remember when I first read this and waiting for the anime to come around, that was one of my favorite arcs. I was like, yeah, and obviously at that point I hadn't seen or read as much as I do now, but it was definitely one of the biggest arcs I've read. I was like, wow, I mean, this is just pure shonen, like, peak. And I still think it is. I still think it's an amazing arc. It's not perfect, again, as is Jujutsu Kaisen, but I think the anime as well really elevated some of the stuff in that arc. The anime is absolutely amazing. The direction, the storyboarding, the key animations, and everything. It was just almost perfect if it wasn't for Mappa. But yeah, it's just all the characters, everything coming together. It's one of those arcs. It's very similar to Soul Society. It's a little bit kind of like the Soul Society, right? But in Jujutsu Kaisen. And I just think I prefer Shibuya. It's left an impact, and maybe it's because it's a little bit more recent. but it's a tad bit above Soul Society. Coming at 23, we have bam, Fantasia of Berserk. Fantasia is definitely one of those arcs. To start, Fantasia is basically around chapter 301 to the recent chapters, basically, or chapter 364, when Miara passed away. Yeah, Fantasia is one of those where there's definitely a lot of moments in there where it drags on for me and I'm not as invested, and I'm like, okay, what are we doing here? Especially the pirate stuff, and even some of the when we go on the island and all of that, it definitely drags on for me. But at the same time, that's like 30% of the arc. The other 70% of the arc is either great or some of the peaks of the series, and in turn some of my favorite stuff in anything. I mean, the introduction of the arc is absolutely insane. Like, some of the craziest presentation and art I've seen in anything. I don't know what Miura was on. The little chapter with Chich, if you know, you know. Such a unexpected chapter, kind of a random chapter in a way, right? But one of the most emotional and moving chapter still to this day. I'm like, what the hell happened there? That was insane. But yeah, it also has one of my favorite section, with Casca and the Dream. That section with the Dream is one of my favorite sections. Like, it literally rivals the Eclipse for me, which is kind of insane to say, but it's such a good sequence. It's so good. Number 22, we have Ruhenheim in Monster. Yeah, I mean, this is the peak of Monster. This is my favorite arc in Monster. Um, I mean, those are the last 7 episodes, I think, of Monster. Yeah, I mean, the overall vibe, again, I don't know I'm gonna say this, but it is the best way I can describe it. The ambience of it, the setting, the rain, the enclosed city, and it just as the climax of the series again with Tenma, Johan, Grimmer, um, Lunge, and yeah, just the conclusion to everything coming into his own, everything coming together, um, and with the insane ending to the story with the hospital bed. That's just another one of those, such a bold choice to end the series, but it also works super well. So yeah, shout out to Urusawa. This is definitely gonna be one of those ones where people are gonna be shocked or they're not gonna like this one. I know some of you guys out there, but um, we have the Infinity Castle of Demon Slayer. This is also the best arc in Demon Slayer for me by far. Um, this is one of the most special and important arc for me in my manga journey, anime journey. I mean, it was one of the first, or actually, it was the first arc that I've read in a manga. It was really the first manga I've read. Was Demon Slayer. After I finished with Mugen Train, I went on to read the manga, and it was my first experience, and my first experience to listening to music while reading a manga with just kind of the lofi OST in the background of Demon Slayer in the background, and everything together is just so nostalgic to me at this point. I mean, it's been almost 5 years since then. So it's like one of those where it's very nostalgic, and I'm sure everyone has those animes and mangas where maybe some of you guys started anime or manga 15 years, 10 years ago, and I'm sure there's that series or that manga that you guys can remember reading 10 years ago, and it just has that nostalgia factor to it. And Demon Slayer and the Infinity Castle arc has that for me. It was the first big shonen arc I've read, where everything comes together again. The big final war of the series, Yeah, it's just special. The fights, the backstories, I love it. And obviously, waiting for the anime has been making me even more excited for the arc. And I'm so excited for the new movie to come out next year. Can't wait to react to that. And we'll see if the anime, the movies, can even elevate the arc or not elevate the arc. I'm not sure, but yeah, a very special arc for me. Coming to the top 20, we're getting here. We have the Millennium Falcon arc in Berserk. Yeah, I mean, kind of like Fantasia. Um, it's not perfect, you know, it has some moments to me that do drag on a little bit. Um, but it's probably, I think it's the longest arc in Berserk as well. So of course, if this is the longest arc, it's bound to have some of the slowest moments, and you know, it's gonna drag on. Um, but the Berserker armor, the introduction to that flora, sheer cages, our group as well, the bonds that we make with the new group, with Guts, and the character growth for Guts in that arc is fantastic. The Ganishka fight and that whole thing, the apostles teaming up. Um, I mean, it's just there's just so much peak Berserk in there, man. The art peaks as well in there. Um, yeah, that old Berserker section where we're introduced to that, and the fight there with Skull Knight and everything still lives rent free in my head. That old section, and yeah, some of those panels with Guts and um, with Zod. There's so much good stuff in Millennium Falcon, and it would be higher if it wasn't for the moments that do drag on, right? So I also do need to reread a little bit of this arc. I can't lie. Top 19, we have Spring Eye Preliminary. This is from the middle of season 2 to basically season 3 with the Shira Torizawa match, and then the Oikawa match as well on there, the second match. I mean, this is the first big insane stretch in IQ, two of the best match in the series. Um, the team really coming together once again. Not much to say. If you've watched IQ, you've watched, you know, the end of season 2 and season 3, you know why this would be so high. I mean, it's for some people maybe peak IQ, especially people that haven't read the manga. This is peak IQ, so yeah, it's I love IQ. This is one of the best section of the story. This is an interesting one. Top 18, we have the Wandering arc in Vagabond, or the post Yoshioka arc, post second Yoshioka arc. Um, the Wandering arc is interesting because when I was making this list, I almost forgot about this because it's one of those where I don't see this as much as an arc. It's a weird part where like I don't see it as an arc almost for some reason. It has some of my favorite moments in anything. Like there's so many in there, and some of my favorite moments in Vagabond. It has peak Maraachi, which is one of my favorite characters in any anime manga, and as the climax of his character arc. Um, it has some super important character development for Musashi as well after that big battle. Um, the Itosai fight, insane. Um, chapter, I think, what is it, 301? Chapter 301 for Musashi, one of the best chapters in the series. I mean, it has so many peaks, but it's just one of those where, as an arc, like it feels like with the moments that there is in there, it should be higher, but as an arc, I don't see it higher than other arcs. So yeah, it's just a weird one. I don't know if that made any sense, but yeah. Top 17 is a pretty recent one. We have D4C, To Break Your Art, Break My Art. So this is kind of like, once again, I just put all those arcs or those fights together because it just kind of feels like one arc. If this was in any other story, this would feel like an arc to me. Um, so this just felt fitting as well. Um, so this is basically to the introduction of Valentine's stand, but the way I was more so thinking about it, it was at first was from the Diego fight and the Valentine fight to the chapter 89. So, but you could count just the introduction to Valentine stand and stuff. But for me, when I made this list, I was only thinking about the Diego fight to chapter 89. So I'll count it as that. It's top 17. It's my favorite arc in JoJo's. Spoiler alert, that's the last arc here in JoJo's. Yeah, this is by far my favorite arc. It's an insane stretch. Without saying too much spoilers, I mean, it just has three of the best fights. Again, if you want to count them as separate fights, three of the best fights in the series back to back. So many peaks of JoJo's are back to back in there. Amazing backstory in there as well. Everything coming together. It's tough to say much without spoiling, to be honest. So I'll leave it at that. If you've watched my reaction, you know it's so emotional. There's so many emotional parts in there that made me emotional, that made me tear up, and so many parts where I was just in awe of Araki's writing, man. Incredible arc, incredible art as well. The setting of the arc and some of those is perfect. Top 16, we have the prologue of Vinland. That's basically the entirety of season 1. I mean, what can I say? There's Askeladd in there, and episode the finale of the season is one of my favorite episodes, and anything still to this day it never gets old, and it's so important for season 2. Season 2 wouldn't be what it is without season 1. It wouldn't be as great without the things that were set up in season 1, especially for Thorfinn as a character. um, yeah, not much to say. Amazing season. Coming at top 15, we have War for Parodies, or Parody. In Attack on Titan, this is basically the finale of Attack on Titan from like episode 12 of season 4 to the very end of Attack on Titan. I mean, it is kind of an insane stretch. It's a pretty long arc, and it has the best stuff in Attack on Titan. Straight up, the best stuff in Attack on Titan is in that. And I don't think there's any points where it drags. I had like arcs like the Millennium Falcon arc of Berserk. I said some parts were dragging. This one, there's no, like, it's super consistent, but it's Attack on Titan, so. There's definitely a few things in there that I don't know how to feel about. And the ending, I know the ending for Attack on Titan is controversial, and there's a few things in there that I'm not sure how I feel about still to this day. But there's also a lot of stuff that I do love about the ending. It's just some of the peaks of Attack on Titan to me, just not quite as consistent, and some of my feelings I don't know what to feel about, which is why there's an Attack on Titan arc higher. 14, we have farming, the farming arc in Vagabond. Every time you get a farming arc, it's gonna be peak in anything, so this is one of those cases, so emotional, similar to Vinland Saga's farming arc. This is where Musashi truly becomes M. This is where Musashi ascends. His relationship with the little kid that he's with is absolutely awesome, and the bonds that he makes with the other people in this farming land, I guess you could say, is awesome to see. Just farming arc, man. It's one of those where I don't know how to describe my feelings for this arc. You just gotta read it yourself to know. Like, everyone is gonna have different feelings towards this. This is so like personal. So yeah, this is one of those I genuinely don't know what to say. So is the case with most Vagabond arc. That's just what Vagabond is as a series. It's just so personal, and it's tough to describe what you feel in words. 13 we have the second Yoshioka arc. Um, yeah, I mean this is for some people maybe peak Vagabond. It has the fight with Musashi with a lot of people. If you know, you know. um, yeah, the choreography in there is absolutely insane. It's one of the craziest experience you can have reading a manga. It's just non-stop. Like, again, I don't know how to describe it, but it has Oetsu. Is it Oetsu? I might be misremembering the name for some reason here, but Danchichiro is an amazing character. That fight with him, with his brother as well, it's just an insane arc. Actually, every time I read it, it leaves me speechless. Every character just converges into one place. Would be one of those arcs that I would compare to maybe Shibuya or Soul Society in a way. But it's also so vagabond and so different. And it is heavily focused on Musashi, but um, seeing Kojiro coming into the story as well there, the snow fight, the the snow fight with Musashi and Kojiro is it's so special, man. It is just I can't describe how I feel about it, man. It's you just gotta read. Like if you haven't read Vagabond and you like reading manga, just read, man. All I'll say is definitely again the first few chapters maybe take a little bit of time. I mean it's still good, but it takes a little bit of time for you to fully understand Vagabond's greatness. But it's still very enjoyable. Okay, top 12 we have the Arankar arc in Bleach. One of the most flawed arcs in Air for sure. Um, Especially the anime. When I talk about Bleach, I mostly have the manga, and when I talk about everything, I'm combining everything: the manga, the anime, the overall experience I like of the arc in general. I think certain episodes in the anime elevates the arc and does a fantastic job, but in general, I much prefer the Bleach manga to the anime. Again, very flawed, a lot of humor and comedy that does not work, and it really drags on in this arc. Some of the fights are not that good or interesting. Um, so it's definitely one of those less balanced arc. But it also has some of my favorite stuff as well in there. Deicide, Aizen as a character solidified himself as one of my favorite antagonists in anything within this arc. The Gin stuff in there, Ichigo's character growth in that arc, Grimjaw, freaking Olkiora, Stark, Shunsui, almost every character in that arc gets a lot of phenomenal stuff, man. It just has a lot of drag. It drags a lot, but it also has some of my most impactful moments and eyes and peaks in anything I've read or watched as well. So it's an acquired taste if you don't like, and I'm also a big fan of longer arcs. I most of the time enjoy longer arcs where it builds up for a longer period of time and allows for higher peaks and higher stuff. And this is one of those arcs that does it, and that's why a big part of why the Arrancar arc is above Soul Society for me is because it just reaches eyes higher than Soul Society. It might not be quite as consistent, but the lows and the dragging on to me is not enough for it to be under Soul Society. I think the eyes just takes it just that much higher. So I'll have to go a little bit faster if we want to get over this. So 11 Marley Attack on Titan. This is the first 12 or the first 9 episodes of season 4. The switch up that Isayama did there from the first 3 seasons to season 4 into the new characters, new place. The time skip, I mean, it's absolutely insane. It's still the way Isayama pulled that off was absolutely amazing. I don't care what anybody says, the anime is awesome for that section. Some of the CGI is not great, but other than that, I love the music, the compositing, directing. Yeah. some of the craziest stuff happens in there. It's crazy. Entering my top 10 favorite arcs of anime and manga, we have York New City of Hunter x Hunter. Again, kind of like Soul Society, kind of like Shibuya, where it's something that's been built up since the start of the story. All the characters are converging, and it's just a thriller from start to finish. And obviously, Hunter x Hunter has a special place in my heart. So an arc like this, and this is people's favorite arc in Hunter x Hunter. So yeah, this is some of the higher peaks. The Requiem is one of my favorite moments in anything, and the current arc, the Succession War arc, has elevated York New even higher for me, and I think it will continue to do so. 9, we have Return to Shiganshina of Attack on Titan. I don't know where there's arc there, but yeah, again, if you've watched Attack on Titan, you know why this is this high. This is one of the most talked about arcs in the series. Yeah, some of the peaks of the series. Erwin Smith, you changed my life. Levi, insane. The choice that they had to make with the antidote. Armin uh, made me emotional in that. Aaron Cooked, Bertolt, the Beast Titan, Zeke. I mean, it's just pure greatness nonstop. And then we get with the aftermath of everything, with some of the reveals with Grisha, with the owl. I mean, insane arc, man. Coming out number 8 is one that I literally finished 2 days ago. It is Challengers from IQ. Those are the last 35 chapters, I think, of IQ. Literally just finished it. It's the climax of the story, one of the best endings in any series I've seen. I'm very interested to see if it goes higher over time because, again, I just finished it. Yeah, the time skip, seeing all the characters coming together. I don't even know what to say without spoiling, to be honest, but it's one of the most perfect endings and ways. Like, Furudate is one of the best character writer I've seen in anything. He's able to take all the characters and do character arcs perfectly. He wraps up their character arc perfectly. Bro does no mistakes. I mean, for me it never drags on. It's never where like I'm like, okay, what are we doing? Like, no, it's so efficient. It makes me emotional so often. Like, probably one of the series that makes me emotional the most. And Challengers is almost peak IQ. Number 7, we have Thousand Year Blood War of Bleach. Kind of like Arankar. It is flawed for sure. I do prefer the manga, but the eyes, like, basically the lows of the Thousand Year Blood War kind of takes you back 1 or 2 steps, and then the eyes and the peaks takes you like 10 steps ahead. So it doesn't even matter to me. Thousand Year Blood War as the eyes and the peaks of Bleach. For me, some of the fights back to back, the Shunsui fight, then you get the Mayuri fight back to back, and then you get the Ashwalt, and you get the Basby fight as well in there. The Yurabak fight, and then the Aizen stuff, Ichigo, Askin fight, and Kisuke fight, all back to back. Ichibe and freaking Yurabak back to back. I mean, it's literally just non-stop. I mean, so many fights that are just some of my favorite fights in anything, and there's like 10 of them back to back. It's an insane arc, man. And it has some of the I mean, it has the best stuff for Ichigo. The conclusion arcs for Ichigo is perfect as well. Number 6 is kind of a surprising one. I genuinely thought I would have it lower, but it could be lower if I'm being honest. It might be top. It might be top 8. It could be number 8, but 6 is the Succession War of Hunter x Hunter, the current arc in the manga. I'm the biggest fan. Maybe not. I know some people that are even bigger fan than me, but one of the biggest fan of the Succession War. I've been brain rotting about this arc for like 3 years, 4 years now. I reread it every month, not fully, but certain sections. I cannot wait to get new chapters. This is like the thing that I'm most excited for is a new batch of 10 chapters of this arc. I think it has the potential to be my favorite arc in anything. Yeah, again, it could be number 8, but this is just Togashi at his purest, and I feel like this could be his magnum opus. I think it does get a little bit too heavy on the dialogue sometimes, and some of the characters maybe get a little bit too much dialogue. But I don't think it's as big as some people make it out to be. I think it's maybe I would reduce it like 20%, 10%. Maybe yeah, I would reduce like 10% of the dialogue in the arc, and some of the moments, and that's really it. Other than that, I think it's a super ambitious arc. I mean, you really got to lock in, and you really won't appreciate the arc fully until you do a second reread or even a third reread and maybe talk about it with other people. But yeah, it's a great arc, and I cannot wait to see the next 10 chapters. Number 5, let's go top 5. Let's see. We have the Kojiro arc in Vagabond. This is my favorite arc in Vagabond. It me emotionally so much for I was not expecting, and I don't know if I'm the only one to have this arc as my favorite in Vagabond. I don't think so, but it's probably not people's favorite arc in general. I would think, but this made Kojiro one of my favorite character in anything. His backstory, his relationship and dynamic with Jisai is one of my favorite dynamics in anything of just son father relationship, and yeah, it's one of the most emotional arcs for me for some reason. It had me emotional so much in this arc. um, it's just a very comfort arc for me where I could just reread and reread, and yeah, it's such a special arc to me. I can't again put it into words on why it's so special, but yeah, Kojiro, man. That's just Kojiro. I'm glad that's the name of the arc because Kojiro is the star of the show, man. Come on, number 4, we have Farmland. Of Vinland. I mean, Farmland, if you've watched season 2, you know, one of the greatest seasons in anything. I don't care what anybody says. Once again, one of the most emotional. One of it's such I wish everyone would watch this season in this day and age. I'm sure everyone has heard the line of "I have no enemies." It's one of the best lines and most important lines in anything, I think. And yeah, Thorfinn's journey in this is obviously the big highlight. But all the characters in that arc in that season are phenomenal. Arnade and Canute and everything. Episode 23 is one of, I mean, it is my favorite episode in Vinland, but one of the best episodes in anything as well. It's perfect, a perfect arc from start to finish. It's perfect. Farmland is peak fiction. Alright, top 3, this is it. I would love to hear what some of your favorite arcs are. Let me know in the comments whether it's a top 3, just some of the favorite arcs. It doesn't need to be a top 10 or anything, just some of the ones that sticks out to you. But if you want to do a top 10 as well, would love to see that in the comments. But let's see the top 3. We have Golden Age from Berserk. I mean, I think this is probably kind of a cold take. I think most people have Golden Age as their favorite. It's one of the most talked about arc. Yeah, it's a classic arc. It truly feels like a tale of old age, of a real tale almost, but you know that's a folk tale, a fantastical tale. Yeah, it's, I mean, the eclipse is one of the greatest climax things section in the story I've ever seen. It's dark, haunting, brutal. It's super dark, one of the most dark things I've seen. But the characters in that, Guts, Griffith, the Ben of the Hawk, it has a few flaws in there, but it's minimal to me, and it's, yeah, it's one of the most dark arc I've ever seen, but it also has some of the most hopeful and beautiful friendships and bonds, and just things in general, and that it's again it's perfect. And the more you see Guts' story, the better the arcs gets. But the Eclipse again is a big reason of why this is so high, of course. Number two, maybe some of you guys can guess at this point what it is. Number two is Tokyo Nationals from IQ. This is everything from season 4 to the end of, or yeah, to basically the second movie that's about to come out. I mean, this is kind of unfair. This is an insane arc, insane stretch to me. This is literally the peak of IQ for me personally. It never stops. I mean, it has the best trending arc in the story for me, in the Ball Boy arc. I would say after the Ball Boy arc, there's maybe like 2 episodes where it slows down a little bit. But other than that, you get to the tournament, it's just straight greatness. Challengers, Atsumu's match, Bokuto's match. It's just nonstop. The freaking Nekoma match. It's some of the best. If you were to compare matches to fights, if you want to compare those two, some of the best fights, matches, back to back, nonstop. Kind of like the 1,000 Year Blood War, but in matches. But especially the Oshiumi match, the Kamomedai match is my favorite match in the story, and yeah, it's so special. It moved me so many times. It made me emotional so many times. It did something with Inata's character that I was not expecting. You could not expect, and it had me in awe, absolutely awe. Furudate, I thought I knew. Okay, I think I know what type of writing Furudate does. I think I know how good he is, and then he did that, and I was just shocked. It was so good, so well done, and yeah, Asahi stuff is one of the things that made me emotional in there. It's something that I wanted for Asahi, and it surpassed my expectations. Um, and yeah, the climax, the end of the arc as well made me emotional there. I mean, it made me emotional so many times. It's so special. For me, stories are about characters. That's the most important things for me is characters, and being able to connect emotionally with those characters and their character arcs. And I think IQ does it maybe the best for me. The themes and the messaging in IQ also are just so inspirational, and it's just so awesome, but also realistic. There's pain as well, but it's super grounded, so relatable as a series, and it just is good vibes. It truly makes you positive about life in general, and it makes you see the beauty in life. And yeah, man, IQ is so special to me, and sports as well is the best way to convey that everyone loves sports, or almost everyone. Everyone knows, or a lot of people have experienced sports and the beauty of sports and how that relates to life. And I think IQ just does it so well. I could talk about it for hours, but I think you guys know the first one is here. Number one, we have the camera and arc of Hunter x Hunter. This is by far my favorite arc, or maybe not by far, but this is my favorite arc in anything. It's been for a while, and it's not changing. When I thought about doing this list, this was the only one that I knew where it went. I was like, Cameron arc is first. I don't know about the rest. Um, it's my favorite arc. I think the manga is better than the anime. I think the anime has a few flaws in there, especially the 2011 anime, with the kite stuff and some of the gyro and just the overall pacing and stuff. I think it's better in the manga. And it's one of those cases like maybe 1,000 Year Blood War where there's a few parts. I don't think it's nearly as bad as 1,000 Year Blood War, but there's a few parts that do slow down and maybe not as interesting. But for me overall, it does not drag on that much. It's like 2 chapters here, another 2 chapters there, and that's about it. I mean, like 4 chapters that are maybe not as interesting out of like 150, 40 chapters is nothing to me. So It has the highest eyes of anything. It has my favorite characters. It's the peak of Hunter x Hunter for me. It's the art of Hunter x Hunter. There's so many things. It's so rewatchable, rereadable. It just gets better as the story goes on as well with the Succession War. And I don't know. I mean, at the moment, I don't know what could surpass it other than the Succession War by Togashi. I don't know. Maybe Tokyo Nationals will surpass it over time. I'm not quite sure, but for now, I don't see anything surpassing Cameron Arc. Maruem, freaking insane. The Poof, Yuppie, Pito, some of my favorite antagonists. Yeah, Netero, Gon, Killua. It's just insane, an insane arc, and I could talk about it for hours, but we've already been here for hours, so I'll end this here. I'll let you guys go. This was my top 50 arcs. That was a lot of fun. Again, shout out to Alexander, everyone that did that, for the inspiration and even the format of doing it. Let me know what you think about my list. If you have any thoughts, again, I would love to hear maybe some of your guys' favorite arcs of things you've watched. And I'm interested to see if any new arcs will enter this top at some point. And again, some of those are not, I kind of did this pretty quick, so maybe some of those are not perfect. Maybe if I were to look at it a little bit more, think about it a little bit more, I would change some of those places. So don't look it at it's concrete and that's my exact list. Like, some of those are so close to each other, but this is what my gut and art was telling me, so this is my list. And yeah, you guys can pause and go through it to see my list, but there it is. Honorable mentions, rereads, and that's it. Thanks guys for being here. As I said, I'll be doing also an updated favorite anime manga list at the end of the year. That will be the last video, and I'll see you guys for some new content